Today I'm going to be doing a review on the Karura Red Dragon Keyboard. I picked this up off Amazon, had some nice features, and figured I would get it and give you guys a review and let you know what I think about it. It does offer high speed, high control, and high response, which is definitely good for a keyboard. It is a gaming keyboard, so it should offer some higher end options versus a regular keyboard. There are lots of different options. It does have 12 multimedia keys, 7 backlights, key exchange, Winlock key, variable speed, braided cable, along with a gold USB plug. Now let's go ahead and flip this over and I'll let you guys know what kind of colors this lights up in. First color will be red. That will be followed by green, dark blue, yellow, and light blue, purple, white, and there's also a no light option if you wanted to use that. So what I'm going to do is go ahead and unbox this for you guys, let you know what's in the box, and we'll follow that up with a review. And you can watch me fumble with this box. Actually, it comes out pretty easy. So, doesn't look like there's anything in the box. So let's throw that away. And let's get to the keyboard. Alright, so it looks like it's nicely packaged to avoid any damage. And go ahead and move all this stuff out the way. And what we have here is, first, let's go ahead and take a look at this braided cable. It looks like it has a gold connector, which is pretty nice, a little different than the usual. Nice thick connector also, doesn't look cheap or knockoff type products. And like I said, this does have a braided cable, as you can see here. This is actually pretty nice. It's a little stiff, but I'm sure with time it'll loosen up. And when I say stiff, I mean stiffer than your typical mouse or keyboard cable, which most of them are pretty flimsy. This one does actually feel pretty good. It feels almost like a thick lace for your sneakers, but a very kind of heavy and thick one. All right. And it looks like here we have a manual. I'm sure there's nothing fun in here, but let's just go ahead and take a look and see what's in here. Looks like a lot of Chinese letters that I'm not going to be able to read. So let's get that. First things first, you guys will notice that the keyboard is actually lighting up and going through a sequence of colors. The way that's done is by holding the function key and hitting the actual light key, and that will cause it to trigger this type of lighting effect, which is kind of cool. Some people like that. Some people will use this constantly and not actually have it set on a solid color. I prefer a solid color. What we'll do is we'll go through the series of colors that are available for this. You have off, red, green, blue, almost a bluish purple, yellow, teal, purple, white, and back to off. Now I'm using a eTech City mouse, which has some different colors on it also, so that's kind of the reason why I bought this keyboard, because I can change the actual color to match along with the keyboard itself, which is kind of cool. But we'll have a separate review on this. This will be done at a different time. So for now, let's focus on the keyboard. So, great thing about it, I will say first, is that it is a nice design overall. Looking at the keyboard, it's a nice soft touch matte material. I do like this little triangle here with the dragon on it. It does look like a flush design, so there is no depth to this actual dragon itself. It's almost like it's layered on the top. Looking at it from a distance, you would never know that it's actually lit. It almost looks like it's laminated on the material itself. So that is kind of cool. So I do enjoy looking at that. It just makes it a little different than your typical keyboard. And back to what we did at the beginning, which was another positive, which is having the option to have multiple colors on the keyboard to match your setup, to match your mouse. If that's your type of thing, this is perfect for that. I did cover something at the beginning, which was the braided cord. The braided cord is nice. It is a little stiff, but once you work it out a little bit, it does get a little bit better. But it is really nice. It's red and black, and like I said, it's all about what your preferences are. Some people, red may be completely opposite of the colors that they have going on in their computer case. They may have lighting on their desk that may clash with it. That may or may not be an issue for you guys. I will touch back on the soft touch material. It is very, very nice. It does not retain oils as bad as I thought it would. Overall, it seems to be pretty good. I have had some situations where I've touched it and saw some oils from my palms, but you can simply wipe it off and it comes right off. So that's definitely a plus, so you don't have to clean the keyboard all the time. Now, one thing that's great is that it does overall about 99% of this keyboard has even lighting. There is only one key on this keyboard that does not have even lighting, and that is the backspace button. Now, this is not a big issue. This is one key. Overall, the lights are flush. The lights are 100% straight across the board, accurate and working the way that they should. I have looked at other reviews and I have noticed that this backspace at the end where the C and the E, that's where the problem lies, and that's where it's actually dark. And it looks like everybody has this issue. Some people will notice it, some people won't notice it. I'm kind of critical on things, so I do notice little things like that. Not enough to bother me, not enough for me to be concerned about it. Overall, this does have solid construction. It does feel like a good keyboard. There isn't a lot of flexing. You get a little bit of flexing. There's no creaking or crackling or anything like that from the actual materials. Another positive that I'll touch on is it does have soft touch. So because of the soft touch to the keys, they do feel really good. They don't make a lot of noise, and I'll give you guys a sample. Overall, that is not too loud at all. It does not have that clickety-clack of a mechanical keyboard or even a standard keyboard. So that is good. That's definitely a plus, and that's something that some people may buy this just for that in particular. Me, myself, I do enjoy it being quieter, but there are some things about it being quieter that I do not like. So from that point, let's go ahead and move over to the negatives about this keyboard. I will say the keys are very flush. This is a chiclet style keyboard, so the keys are actually separated just slightly, but enough to make it a little bit harder to type on overall. Now, I type very fast. I can type a high word per minute, and I need a keyboard that will allow me to type as fast as I can. That's where the problems start. I make lots of mistakes on this keyboard. One of the biggest issues with this keyboard is this enter key. And the reason why I say this enter key is because the design and pattern of this enter key is different than most keyboards. Now, there are some out there that have this identical pattern, but when you're typing and you have your fingers at the position that they should be in, there's a lot of stretching to get to the actual key. And what ends up happening is I end up hitting this backspace button instead of the enter key. If you look at a traditional keyboard, you'll notice that the enter key is long and it actually comes up past where this backspace would be, and the backspace would be here. For some reason, they designed this in a way where the enter key is shaped differently. I've looked over the keyboard design. I'm not really sure what caused them to do that and why they couldn't come up with a better way. I guess it's just the way the layout of the keys are. There's some kind of pattern, or maybe because of the spacing between the letters, it caused them to have to shift this over a little bit and make it more of a up and down pattern instead of a left and right pattern. That's the only thing I can possibly think of. There are other keyboards that have that also, but there's really not that many that have this type of enter key. Now, Another thing is, due to the typing errors, there's a lot of backspacing to correct it. Where the typing errors come in play is the key response is sometimes not that great. You could be typing and hitting keys while you're not looking at it and thinking that you're actually getting the key to respond, but in all actuality you're hitting the key at an angle and it's not responding. Spacebar is another thing that could cause some issues while you're typing. You'll notice that these keys here are semi-quiet. The spacebar is a little different. You hear that a little bit more. For the most part, 95% of the time, this works. Sometimes there's a little bit of sticking on these letters. They did say on Amazon that this was the new and improved one, but I have found that there are some keys that will randomly stick while you're typing. This could happen on this keyboard and not happen on another keyboard. I think it's just one of those things that may or may not happen. So moving on from that, another thing which might be an issue for some people, which to me is really not a big deal at all. You'll notice here there's a function key. A lot of keyboards have a Windows key here and a Windows key here, and they may have a function key in a different area. Or they may have a Windows key here and they may have a function key here. This one, they're flipped. If you're used to using a keyboard, a certain brand, a certain type, you'll find yourself running into issues with that. So that's definitely a little quirk that some people may or may not like, some people may not care. It's really up to you and your style of typing and your preferences. So I'd say overall, it's a good keyboard. That's all my cons for the most part. It's a good keyboard overall. It's probably really good for somebody that's looking for an entry-level keyboard and willing to basically look over some of the minor things to get some of the extras, such as the LED lighting, which can be a big deal to some people. Some people won't buy a keyboard unless it has that RGB lighting in it. It's definitely a plus having these colors. It's really nice. It makes your desk pop. So I definitely see why somebody would buy this. This is in the range of $27 on Amazon, so this is very affordable. Definitely something that anybody can probably pick up and use and be completely satisfied with. If you're a heavy typer, I cannot say it enough, this is probably not the keyboard that you want. If you want to have consistent keystrokes, this is not the keyboard that you want to get. You want to get something that has a little more response, a little more travel to the actual letters, because with this being so flush, the keys do not go down as low as they should, which causes you to think that you've hit a key when in all actuality you have not hit the key. And you don't realize it until you've typed a paragraph out and you realize that you have a ton of errors. So that's definitely a big thing. But overall, guys, like I said, good keyboard. I'd recommend it for anyone that's looking for RGB style keyboard and looking for a keyboard that has a palm rest on it. It's definitely good. It fits probably most of what everybody would want in a keyboard, except for the enthusiasts that want something a little bit higher end. If it's something you're interested in, check it out on Amazon. I'll go ahead and leave a link for it and you guys can click on that. If you like this video and you're interested in seeing more videos from me, please subscribe. You guys can comment if you have any questions about the keyboard. I'll be more than happy to respond. So just let me know what you guys think about it and see you on the next video.